going to work on is teach our dog how to go to a mat. And we're going to do some clicker training basics to get our dog to do that. Now, if your dog doesn't know what a clicker means, you're going to have to teach them what that means to begin with. And the way we do this is just clicking the clicker and tossing a treat, and clicking the clicker and tossing the treat. And we'll wait until our dog actually looks up to see if they understand what it means. So if they're looking away, you click and they look at you, they know what that clicker means. So Mikey already knows what this clicker means, so we're going to get started with the mat training. So what we have to do is we have to decide what our criteria is for getting him on the mat. Now, I'm not going to say anything or do anything. I'm going to wait for him to make some steps to get him on the mat. My first criteria is actually just going to be him getting near the mat. So I'll click and I'm going to toss the treat away just so I can get him reset. Now, as you can see, Mikey's going to the mat. So my first criteria was a little low for him. So I'm upping it to meaning his front feet go on the mat. When his front feet hit the mat, I'm clicking and treating Mikey. So we'll do that a few times. So now Mikey, I can tell, understands this is what I'm asking of him. So I'm going to make it a little bit harder. Now I'm going to make him do a little bit more. And he's going to try a couple different things. And when he gets his back feet, or at least one back foot on the mat, I'm going to click and throw him the treat. I'm tossing the treat away. That's just so I can reset. Now he's thinking, he's figured out what I'm asking to get him on the mat. This is an exercise I have done with Mikey in the past. That's why it's going so quickly for us. So next I'm going to decide that Mikey can actually sit on the mat. So when he sits on the mat, I click him and I treat him. Now he's not exactly 100% sure that it's the sitting that he's supposed to do, so he's trying some different things. And I'm just going to wait and give him a chance to figure out what it is he needs to do. Mikey seems a little bit confused, so I'm going to actually back up. And I'll take him back a step to where he has at least 3 of his back feet on the mat, so we can get some reinforcements in. There we go. Right now, if he comes and sits on the mat, I'm going to click and treat it, but my criteria I'm going to keep at putting his 4 feet on the mat. So right at this moment, he doesn't necessarily have to be sitting. So as you see, we progress when the dog is ready to progress and they understand what you're asking of them. As Mikey gets better at this, I'm going to start requiring that he sit on the mat. But until I know that he understands that having all 4 feet on the mat is what I'm asking of him, I'm not going to move on. Now the final behavior with the mat work would be having Mikey come onto the mat and lay down, which I just gave him the cue to lay down so I can treat him. But we're going to progress in small steps until we get there. So remember, break it down. Try to decide in your mind before you start working with the dog what you want them to do. The beginning stages would be just have your dog looking in the mat's direction. If your dog is already doing that, walking and putting a foot on the mat, you can actually up it and be, my criteria is going to be my dog puts a foot on the mat. Remember to click and throw the treat away so you can reset the dog for another trial. You want them to do things at least 5 times successfully before you make something harder. So for Mikey, I would make sure that he puts all 4 feet on the mat 4 times, all 4 feet on the mat 5 times, that is, before I would require him to actually sit on the mat. Mat training can be a really nice behavior to have for your dog, because you can teach them to lay on the mat when visitors come over or you're eating dinner. Eventually, when Mikey gets to the point where he automatically goes to the mat and lays down, then I'll start asking him to do it for longer periods of time, and I'll actually give him a release word so that he can get off the mat. But for now, we're just getting Mikey onto the mat, and that's what I would hope you would do with your dog.